Hey guys, welcome back everybody to Gfinity Spring 2 Cup Masters. We have our last quarterfinals coming up. It's Lifecoach versus Powder. This one is on paper like something that you feel like you'd see quite often in other tournaments. And in this case, in the round of 8, once again, they're matching up. But this time on 2 different factions. We have Lifecoach representing the invited players, and Powder, he wasn't invited. He qualified through the event when going 7-0. And so, you know, he's got a long journey to get all the way to this point, but so far he's been undefeated in Gfinity number 2 in spring.
Yeah, this could be the final actually. Like it's a really exciting match coming up now. I mean, both players have been playing so well recently. So yeah, I think it's going to be, for me at least, the most exciting match of the day, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Powder and Lifecoach are both fantastic players. But not only that, Powder, this is the second time Powder's qualified for Gfinity. So he's gone through the hard 256-man bracket to get here twice. So he's worked really hard to get here. And that really shows in his play recently. He's been doing exceptionally well.
Well, he's known for being a player who just plays very strong across the board, brings strong decks, plays well. And a lot of players, when they look at Powder, they don't think very flashy. They don't know him particularly for any deck specifically. I think he climbed to number 1 with a cool Paladin deck back in the day when GVG first came out. But I don't really associate many things with Powder other than just like, yeah, he's a good player. And sometimes that's the scariest because it means he can bring anything and win in the series.
Yeah, he tends to just go for what he feels is best at the time. So he won't go out of his way to put in flashy stuff or, you know, play out of his comfort zone. So he's just going to bring the decks that he thinks are going to be the best to win the tournament. I think it's going to be looking really good. We have him with Rogue, Pala, and Mage here, and Lifecoach again with the Druid, Pala, Warlock. And I think with this, there's no real aggro from Powder, and that seems to be the way to beat Lifecoach. So we saw Reynard beating Lifecoach yesterday. So from my point of view, I think Lifecoach is looking to take this one, 3-2.
I think the Rogue and Mage lists have really complemented Powder in recent times. He won Insomnia with Freeze Mage and Oil Rogue, but he was using Control Warrior instead of the Paladin. But as you said, he climbed to rank 1 with Paladin before in the start of GVG, so he has a lot of familiarity with the Paladin deck. And yeah, I think this Rogue kind of Freeze Mage combo he's been running recently has just done him a lot of success.
Well, I think no one's changed anything from the round of 16 to the round of 8, right? Out of these players here, I think, well, actually, didn't Cobra change one deck? Like, he didn't play his Warrior anymore?
Yeah, he threw out the Warrior, yeah. And that really worked for him now in the semifinals. But I think, you know, looking at this, the Rogue could be really strong as, you know, it's a lot of tempo and I mean, Lifecoach is known for, I guess, playing big minions one at a time, you know, and those cards like Saf will come in handy there, but for the Freeze Mage, I think really Powder will struggle, I suppose, as there's so many heals in Lifecoach's deck. So I think that's going to be the one he'll need to win.
Are you leaning towards Powder or Lifecoach? Can you give me a prediction here?
I would go with Powder just because I think he's been in good form recently. And the one thing that Lifecoach really excels at as a player is board interaction. And Rogue can really negate board interaction with the saps and just the tremendous amount of burst it can produce. But not only that, Freeze Mage is the king of making you play solitaire, you know, playing their game how they want it. So I think Lifecoach, I would definitely give it to Powder here just because of not only his lineup, but just because of the form he's been in recently.
I'm going to go with Lifecoach. I think he's going to definitely pull this one out. I think yesterday he played very well. Some people were saying that Tang, he had such a big matchup advantage, but Lifecoach outplayed him significantly, and now he's here in the round of 8. I think he can keep it up, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Lifecoach. That's 2 for him and 1 for Powder, but we'll see. We'll let the cards and decks do all the talking, shall we? We're going to pass it over to our commentators to see who's going to take this last quarterfinal and ultimately the top 4 spot.
Thank you, boys. I am Admirable, and joined here, of course, by Lothar. Nylum with Lifecoach, so you may be a little bit biased.
Yeah, but I will try to stay as objective as always.
Well, good. I typically try to stay objective too, and I mean to get a little harsh in my words sometimes. And initially, I had called Lifecoach to win this match, and I was kind of going based purely off of kind of the results that these guys have been having. And Powder's been in really good form. There's really no question about that. The fact that he's qualified twice is a big deal. He had to go 7-0 to qualify for the event.
That's impressive.
And he's just well known in the higher level community as being a strong player. And when I take a look at these classes, we have Warlock, Druid, Paladin for Lifecoach, and we have Rogue, Paladin, Mage for Powder, and this is a freeze mage. And this really, to me, changed the way the matchup was going to work out for me. And initially, I had pegged this at 3-2 for Lifecoach, but when I kind of look at it, if Lifecoach wins, I think it still will be a 3-2. But to me, I feel like Powder has got a little bit of an edge in this one.
Well, the freeze mage has an edge over Paladin and Warlock. So it has 66% better chances against the whole lineup of your Lifecoach whole lineup, right?
Yeah, so game one's going to get right underway here. And sort of a big thing about that freeze mage versus Warlock, too, is how aggressive the Warlock can be early on. I think when they see a Mountain Giant really early, the Warlock will tend to win that match. But outside of that, you're going to need a very strong low-thep timing to shut them out of the game.
That's true.
This match is something that I was really looking forward to as well, is kind of to see exactly how Powder's Rogue deck is built versus Warlock, because this is one of the matchups that is kind of tricky for me too. I think that Rogue has a small edge here.
With the oil, yeah. When you remember, if you remember the old times, like DreamHack Summer, when we were playing so much games between Rogue and Warlock,
Yeah.
between the Handlock and the Miracle Rogue, it all went up to a situation when Rogue can set up a big Blade Flurry turn to solve all the taunt problems he had with, Ancient Watchers, Giants that had taunts and stuff like that. So he had to clear the board at once.
And at the time when you did that too, you typically needed to have a minion on board because you needed some source of damage to shore up your Blade Flurry afterwards. And with Tinker Sharp Sword Oil, you don't need that anymore. You get big enough Blade Flurries just off of what you got going here. So
Exactly.
pretty decent opening hand here from Lifecoach, and an okay one here from Powder as well. 2 backstabs is a little bit rough, I'd say, versus Handlock. But he's got some minions going, so if you find some strong utility spells, I'm thinking in the form of like Azure Drake, I think is going to be really good in this hand. Something like Eviscerate would be very strong as well. Even Blood Mage. You can find some tricky spots here. So just a couple of hero powers going to be traded.
He should feel lucky that there's no Twilight Drake yet in Lifecoach's hand. Because Twilight Drake is the biggest problem for Rogue in the early game,
I would agree with you. It's one of the biggest problems. It's just 9 health is so awkward to deal with. Like an 8 health
8 is
giant
okay.
can be dealt with. Like Blood Mage, Backstab, Eviscerate deals with that
Exactly.
very efficiently. But the 1 extra health causes you either to take 4 damage or just not be able to reach it in general.
I agree. So drop Ancient Watcher here?
Or
Or just coin and tap?
Well, this turn's really going to kind of dictate exactly what he's thinking about. And I was just about to mention that Big Game Hunter could be a possibility because he wants to get this 3-3 contested. So that way, oil isn't a big problem for him. He doesn't want to see that happen to the board. And Big Game Hunter, frankly, is just not very good in this matchup. Now, the trade-off for this is that you're going to see stuff like Violet Teacher Backstab happen in situations like this, or even like Poison, Deadly, or SI7 Agent. So this is an aggressive move, and I think I would tend to agree with it also. Not only that, but this is pulling out a Backstab for his Giant the next turn. So the Giant is, this is 1 less Backstab that's going to be available for Powder to be able to deal with this.
This is 1 less backstab, but it also generates a 1/1 creature, so it's not so bad for Powder here.
Oh no, I think this is a slight advantage to Powder, but he's going to be able to have to answer this Mountain Giant cleanly, and that's really going to dictate the pace of this game.
And then there are
afterwards.
2 Belchers, and those are really a pain in the back.
Plus the Sylvanas. I mean, this is going to be a big grind, I think, for both of these players here.
It's really different from the usual matchup between those two, I think. Like, Rogue tends to not have such a big board against most of the decks, right? It doesn't happen.
Right. 1 minion is usually enough for it to start to get the ball rolling.
Yep. So what do you think about here? Just drop the Giant,
Well,
right?
yeah, I mean, I think he's taking this time as, sort of typically Lifecoach does to plan out his next few turns. Also considering the idea of Sludge Belcher and Poison. That's a pretty darn good one right now, but where
This
does
will be a
Powder go
long
forward from
match.
here? Yeah, this is going to be a big grind. I imagine he's probably going to be taking some damage here.
The first 8 is not a problem.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The first 8 damage that you take as Rogue typically isn't a problem. It's afterwards, because the first one is about 1/4 of your life. It's a little bit more than 1/4 of your life total. But the second one is like almost one, or it's over 1/3 of your life total remaining after that.
You still have second Farseer somewhere in your deck, so if you draw that, it's still okay, because essentially the Giant hit for 5 and not for 8.
Yeah. So the question here is he going to trade in his 3/3 or is he going to take 8 damage? I don't mind trading in the 3/3. Oh, he's still going to take 8 damage.
Wow. He values a 1/1 more than 8.
Well, he's valuing the poison more is really what's happening here. And I actually don't mind this because we talked about right at the start of the match, a big Blade Flurry is going to be what's making a difference.
But why wouldn't you sacrifice the 1/1 instead of 8 HP?
I think that's how confident he feels in paying the first 8 life.
No.
I mean, it's definitely a rough trade to be making. I'm not saying I 100% agree with it, but that's the idea that he has right now, is that his first 8 points of life is expendable, whereas this 1-1 is vital to him actually being able to win.
Is it? Let's think about Belcher, an example. Does it matter? Does this 1-1 matter? And
I think it matters a little bit. Not too terribly much, but every single point of damage counts. And again, in a matchup like this, he's not going to be pressured on his own life total for quite some time.
That's true.
And how much is the 1-1 going to allow him to be able to pressure his opponent? Because not only is it helping him get more board presence, but that's going to help reduce things against stuff like Tinker Sharp Sword Oil, for instance. He'll have more targets on the board for that are active
that's a
that
good
turn.
point. Yeah.
It's little things like that, I think, that Powder takes into account, and that's what makes him such a strong player. You see these sorts of things happen from all the guys you normally know, but that's not uncommon. That's not something that it's not really super special. You expect those guys to make those kinds of moves. When you see something like Powder doing a move like this, you're truly witnessing something that's kind of going to the next level.
What he needs to draw is Eviscerates. Because he lacks the ability to push the damage after the life totals are really low, like 14, 15, You need those Eviscerate to finish the game.
Yeah. I think what he really wants to draw is Sprint.
Yeah, that's also true.
So Fan of Knives almost certainly going to be the lead here.
I am ready to learn.
What do you want
What does he
to
want
draw
to draw
here?
here? What's your best draw?
Second prep, wow.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
you
think it's
do
too
the second
great.
Fan of Knives, right?
I think you do expend a preparation here, but I don't think you're thrilled about it.
I am ready to learn.
Ready to learn.
I am ready to learn.
That's a lot of students.
Sap. Well, that's not bad.
Sap can give him some leverage to push, which is right now. I mean, this board's getting really scary. if you're
Sylvanas is
Lifecoach.
basically useless with that Sap in hand.
Oh, that's a mistake. You saw him wince right as he did it too. He's supposed to trade that SI7 agent in first, so he loses a token here. Now that's a mistake.
That's great.
Jiraxis. Right-click emote. I want to see more Jiraxis. I wish Jiraxis is in Lifecoach's deck.
I think it isn't.
I don't think it is. He doesn't really strike me as a Jiraxis guy.
Well, he was always playing it when it was a good call in the metagame.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't think that's a good call.
Yeah, Lifecoach doesn't really strike me as someone who likes to play cards because they're fun. He likes to play them because
Yeah.
they're very efficient.
That's true.
So many possibilities.
Still, I mean, Sludge Belcher it's a good play. It's very liable to get sapped into a position like this, though. And
Well, you can't play around Sap.
I mean,
that's
not
the
with this
problem.
hand, no.
Yeah. You just have to drop whatever you have, and I think Belcher's is the best option. Well, we know that there's the Sap waiting, but if you drop Sylvanas,
Your opponent just goes 7 to the dome, 8 to the
yeah,
dome, 9, 10.
would he? Maybe he will be
Savannah,
living.
Sylvanas leaves you at a chance to die, but so pretty much all of these plays leave you at a chance to be able to die, which is to a spell and then a Tinker Sharp Sword Oil.
What do you think? If he drops the Belcher, will he use this Sap? Because if you use this Sap, you do it
I
to
think
push
so.
the damage, right? So
Yeah.
then he kind of commits to dealing 7 points of damage, and then the Molten Giant will hit the board, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the trade-off he's gonna have to make. But Powder, I mean, he's kind of down to the felt in terms of his options. What else can he do? You look at this; he's got preparation sap. His hands are tied, I think, as far as his game plan is concerned.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would expect to see sap here, unless you get a really big draw to Powder here.
Loaded. No.
Wow, that's a really good one too.
It fits the curve perfectly.
Yeah, that's an almost perfect draw.
And it also deals with the Belcher, which will be replayed next turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think he should be sapping here. If he saps and goes everything face, this is 6. That's 10 points of damage. That leaves Lifecoach at 7. So then outside of something like, 2 Molten Giants and Taunts, he's really looking good.
But he has
Really looking in
one
good shape.
giant.
This is kind of surprising to me. So curious, how much damage does he left with after this? This is 5, 8, 9, 10. He's got 11 damage next turn. This play. This is actually really strong too because Tinker Sharp Sword Oil is still giving him lethal in a position like this, and this board's not going to get swept by anything. So Lifecoach is kind of just forced into playing a second Sludge Belcher here.
Emperor, no, that's not a good draw. Yeah, you have to drop the Belcher.
Violet Teacher's been so much leverage. Imagine if he had that extra token, by the way. 8, 11, 12. And
Well, you would have dropped him to 14.
I think he would have put him at 14.
Yeah, because there's a
Actually-
difference between the Molten Giant for 4 and for 5 in this
Yeah,
situation.
there's really no difference between the two.
Yeah. So that actually matters. The 1 point might matter. Then you have lethal with eviscerate, an example, and the board.
Gosh, Lifecoach just really no strong play here. Oh gosh, that hurts.
Wow.
What is he looking for when he taps?
I don't know what he's looking for, because if you every single spell is basically useless in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's looking for the next turn. That is enough damage. It looks like to me 8, 9,
5,
10,
8,
11,
10.
12, 13.
Yep,
That looks like
exact 15.
exact lethal. I wonder if that life tap may have been a bit much. You know, I still like Lifecoach's plan moving forward with the life tap though. He's got to find some way to deal with the board. So like maybe finding a Shadow Flame is so vital to winning this game
Maybe a
here.
second giant.
Yeah, or a
Penalty
second
test.
Molten Giant. I mean, there's so much that's vital to winning this game for him, and I think at the end of the day, it's just the matchup and the hands kind of rolling out in the favor of Powder. But he's going to take a 1-0 lead here. This rogue deck
His rogue
locked.
deck, well, his rogue deck was still strong against Druid
Oh,
and Paladin.
That,
So,
I mean, the rogue deck is expected to win with
Yeah.
this lineup, and that's really his bread and butter deck as far as this lineup is concerned. I mean, rogue winning a game versus with Druid or the Paladin or the Warlock really wouldn't be too much of a surprise.
that's true. The question is now, how does Lifecoach finds the way to win against the lineup of Powder? He has to find a weak spot, right?
Well, so Lifecoach has got Warlock, Druid, and Paladin left, and all three of these decks are fairly on the greedy end, I would say.
Yeah, definitely on the
Toward,
greedy
I mean, this is
side.
sort of his playstyle. He likes to get into the mid and the late game and have tough decisions to make for both players, where he feels very comfortable navigating that, and he expects to do it better than his opponent. And Powder's got Paladin and Mage left, and this is a Freeze Mage. So the Freeze Mage, I think, is going to work pretty well versus the Paladin deck. I think it's going to work okay versus the Warlock deck, and I think it's going to be pretty poor versus Druid. That's my experience on both sides of that matchup. And then Paladin, of course, I'm not exactly sure how his Paladin deck is built, and that really makes a big difference. But Powder kind of strikes me as the guy who's going to typically be aggressive.
With the Tempo Paladin, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. He was playing it so much on the ladder like 2 months ago, 1 month ago, I think. So it would make sense to predict that he will be playing the aggressive Paladin here. And the aggressive Paladin is much better against the Druid.
The question here I'm curious is if he feels like which one of these classes is he going to queue up next? Because it seems to me the matchup he's really just trying to avoid is the Freeze Mage into the Druid. So do you queue up Mage here and hope you get a win versus the other two? Because there's 2 decks right now I think that you can favorably queue against, and your opponent's got all 3 choices available to them.
Well, we'll see in a few seconds. It's Druid versus Paladin,
Yeah, he's going to go with Paladin, and I think that Paladin versus Druid is okay for him. And this,
especially with that Zombie Chalk Oghammer.
I'm curious exactly how much strategy was put into these thoughts right here, because I think if Lifecoach looks at these lineups, he's like, there's very, very good chance that Powder queues up Mage, and so he queued up Druid, and then if Powder's like, he knows that Lifecoach is going to be thinking that way too.
No,
Does he queue up the Paladin
I
at
can
all?
say to you that Lifecoach isn't thinking this way.
You don't think so?
No.
Is he just random queuing
Yeah.
it?
Really.
Well, that's the insight that you have as a teammate. That's why we got you at the desk for this Lifecoach match.
Wild Growth 10-2. Well, that's something you want to get.
These
but
are both strong opening hands.
The Savage Roar is kind of expendable at first. You don't want to get it.
Who do you think's got the advantage here from the outset?
Oh, that's worse. Well, I think Powder has the edge when it comes to the whole lineup, especially with the Masterful Battle and Quartermass in hand. He can adjust the game plan to that 2 cards he has in hand.
It's a Wild Growth, though. Nothing.
Yeah, well, you know.
Nothing to scoff at. I think if this board gets stabilized, you're going to see it in favor of Lifecoach. But of course, the difficult part I think is going to be stabilizing.
Is he thinking about Masterful Battle? He was like
Well,
reaching for the coin.
I think it's definitely good to consider it. I'm a fan of considering your options almost every single turn.
Yo. Well, Lifecoach will most likely use the hero power to kill the 1/1, I would say.
Lifecoach is definitely a fan of considering all his options every single turn.
He thinks about 10-5. If there will be like a Masterful Battle for your opponent, you have to use Swipe next turn, right?
Yeah.
Then you can't play Nourish, and he wants to play Nourish as soon as possible to gain that ramp. In this situation, he might actually draw cards because his hand is so useless at this time being.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, his hand isn't really going to do anything, but again, when Powder hero powers on turn 2 and he doesn't coin out anything, I think you anticipated a little bit of a slower draw, so planning out your next couple turns here I think is pretty vital.
Still a combo in hand. already already in hand is kind of a liability here. Especially maybe it will be used as a clear.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it could be. You know, this is going to be such a grind again. You know, can you afford to just keep cards in your hand that are dedicated to combo? Now, here's the question: do you think he's swiping this turn, or do you think he's mind control teching? Is there any reason to mind control tech?
Well, he knows there's still a coin, and he just grabbed the second swipe.
Now I think he's certainly swiping.
But I bet that Lifecoach is assuming that if someone is keeping the coin for 10-4, right, after a masterful battle, there's a huge chance that there will be a quartermaster. And if someone pulls that off against a druid at 10-4, basically auto lose.
Almost versus any deck, it's really bad. I mean, quartermaster adds 8 power to the board if all the tokens go unchecked. I mean, that's just so much for 5 mana.
True.
And it's split up too. It's a lot of health. That's the other.
You can't deal with
thing
that
about
efficiently.
it. No, there's. I mean, outside of something like your big blade flare, there's really no way to do it.
Or a Doomsayer Frost Nova.
Yeah, that works too. Hellfire double mortal coil.
Yeah, that's also fine. Yeah. But that's no warlock.
We're reaching. It's a pretty far reach.
He might use this swipe.
I think I would tend to use this swipe from my hand instead.
How come?
Well, I would notice that like if you're thinking this long and then you use a swipe from the right side, it's like, what else is he thinking about? But if you think this long and then use a swipe from the middle of your hand, like it's pretty hard to put someone on top of it. I don't think it matters really much at the end of the day. You know, I've always been a fan of using cards from the right side of my hand, except for in situations where you have to think about stuff.
Okay.
When you don't have to think, I think you just jam it down from the right side.
Lifecoach needs that minion right now.
That's a really good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
This is one of those situations where I would imagine Strife Crow would hero power into this Lotheb to just buy him extra time as the game panned out. Because if he played the Shredder here, and then he hero powers the Lotheb, he has the trade directly in with the Shredder into the Lotheb next turn. He doesn't have to spend 2 mana on it. It just feels like a very Strife Crow thing to do. I've seen him do that a lot too.
Yeah, but you have also the swipe, right? And the swipe basically does the same.
I mean, it's a lot of damage to take too. But do you
your
want to
next
swipe in
turn-
this spot? See, now if he wants to trade, he's committed to using the hero power next turn or the swipe.
Yep. What would Powder do in this situation? Defend of Argus? Seems off, right?
Yeah, I think True Silver Chain Base is fine. Strong way to start fighting back against this powerful Shredder. Oh, that is really good.
You could have saw.
Look at Powder. He's
Powder's
really
reaction
I mean, there
was
definitely could be
really
some worse
weird.
things here, though. Like, I think Patient Assassin would be a little bit worse.
Yeah, your point about hero powering the Lotheb would matter a lot after this drop came in the hand. Like, he could have just played the Emperor right now. But on the other hand, he would be at 20 HP.
Yeah, I honestly think I'm in favor of the Emperor here.
So what do you do with the Emperor with the Lotheb? You just ignore it and go straight
Yeah, I think it's
face?
fine. I mean, you have 14 points of damage in your hand with the Force Teacher Savage Roar. If the stuff gets ignored, you just have lethal.
He goes for Nourish to draw 3 cards and hero power the Lotheb, I would say. This also
This is
increases-
totally fine.
Oh, there's a Wrath.
Yeah, I think he's going to Wrath it now.
Well, he might still keep the Wrath for a free HP minion.
I think he's digging here in anticipation of knowing that as turn 7 approaches, there's a chance he has to face something like Dr. Boom. And so I think he really wants to find a big game hunter sooner rather
He
than
plays,
later.
he plays 2, I think.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons he's choosing to draw.
Might be. But it's kind of unreasonable to dig for your options against the 1 card that your opponent might have in his hand.
Well, if you think about it, like how else does the game really get swung back around in Powder's favor? I mean, with a hand like this, he can really just fight the 1-for-1 battle because Paladin doesn't have a ton of burst. So one of the ways that he's going to lose control of this game is when Dr. Boom hits and then he doesn't have an efficient answer for it.
Oh,
Well, speaking of Dr. Boom,
yeah, that happened. Still, which one do you prefer?
this is still tough. I mean, look how many options he's got here.
With the Emperor, you basically buy yourself 4 Innovates.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, it's really tough to turn that deal down.
Yeah. You draw 4 in a vase, and they even don't plug your hand.
Whoa. That's a lot of mana.
So you get a combo for 7 points of mana.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. Dr. Boom and Knife Juggler is not a joke.
3 additional damage. That's quite okay.
He just misses all 3. Can you imagine that?
Wow. Oh
my gosh,
one.
his reaction.
Yeah, his reaction says it all.
Oh, my
wow.
gosh. He actually missed all 3 juggles in the Emperor, so he loses a 2-3.
But there's no big game hunter.
And there's mind control tech, though, yeah. I mean, this could be
Mind
really
control
huge.
Tech into combo. Look at this.
Well, if he plays mind control tech and steals a 7/7, he can just swipe. And
Yeah,
and
that
a
would be the
board.
best. Yeah.
He can even play like a Sludge Belcher, a Pilot. I mean, this has got so many great options.
You have to play the mind control though. Right? That's the only situation against the Paladin. I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, I mean the mind control tech right here.
Oh, wow!
That's a very strong
No
steal.
way that happened.
Oh my gosh!
God!
Boombots! They're crazy. There's a warning on those boombots, by the way. They might explode.
They might.
Yeah. When they hit for 1, they don't explode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if now he would play the his own Dr. Boom with the Knife Juggler of powders, or just Force of Nature with 3 juggles.
So much stuff. Yes, he's gonna go for.
Yeah,
he's gonna go for the big clear here.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, I mean look at his hand. He's got so much gas left. It's like, does he even need the combo?
I don't think
he does.
so.
Yeah.
Well, the Equality Consecration will be a liability and a great advantage for Powder, but still, it's okay.
Oh, it's
And
definitely a liability.
the bomb
right now.
goes to Treant. Nope.
Well, wow, look at Powder. He's just so frustrated with his RNG this game.
And there's no keeper.
When Boobot doesn't hit, when it hits like 1 or 2, I feel like it's like they malfunction and like your finger got caught pinched on something.
No keeper, no big game hunter for Lifecoach, and he will draw those eventually. So
This is a lot of draw power.
You can drop Ancient of Law and hope for a keeper. You can still play him.
I mean, you can still. I mean, you can even just draw like drop Belcher afterwards. He's just got so many options. Like
Dr. Boom Belcher.
What is he worried about moving forward? Like what's the way that he's going to end up losing this game? Because right now it's like I don't feel like Powder has got enough significant pressure that he can really make a big push here, given the Lifecoach's hand.
I would say Powder still has the upper hand because of the Equality Consecration combo.
So just
And the
overcommitting.
weapon.
So Lifecoach just wants to avoid overcommitting to the board. You think?
I would say so.
Yeah, just kind of taking it step by step and really pacing himself.
You might think about keeping the Ancient Law for an eventual heal. Because his hand is so big.
I feel like he really wants to find something like Keeper. Wow, he's gonna go for Boom, which means Sludge Belcher.
And what do you do?
Yeah, I think he's
As the
just,
Paladin? You can't use the Equality right now. Your Tyrion will be just dead to the boom bots, most likely. But then you have the weapon. You can swing with the weapon instantly.
Well, I think step 1, if you're going to equality, is attacking into the Sludge Belcher.
True.
So you want to attack first, and then consider your options with equality.
I wonder.
Equality's it's 5 effective damage here, though. Like, is that enough from equality?
For 2 points of damage, for 2 mana, 5 damage, I think that's okay. And the boom bots, will they kill?
They're actually
Tyrion.
pretty important.
Ah,
Well, there's the 1.
4 and 1.
Well, the 4
Wow.
went to Tyrion instead of the Paladin's face, though, so that does matter a little bit.
Yeah. And there's no taunt in Lifecoach.
Yeah, this actually could be pretty rough.
Second Force of Nature. Imagine if that 4 would go to the face and then he would have drawn the Savage Roar next turn.
That's definitely possible. I mean, the 4 to the Tyrion instead of the face really mattered a lot.
You know, you might be dead next turn.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
What?
Like just something like a consecration juggle or something like that. Yeah.
Might happen. So, Drake.
Captain Greenskin consecration. That would. All the Paladin decks are playing Captain Greenskin lately. You need
Azure
it for that
Drake
Tyrion
seems to
weapon.
be okay-ish, I would say.
I like leading with Azure Drake a lot. He definitely needs more options. Like, there's so much stuff he still needs to find.
And he has
Is he
used the
playing a
Ashen
Harrison
Floor
or
as a
anything like that?
health. I'm not sure. He was also, almost always playing Harrison and Druid.
Time waits for no one.
Drake into Wild Grove. Wow, that's awful. So Ashen Floor to draw 2 more.
Oh gosh.
Oh wow, that's ballsy.
This is cutting it really close.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
that
so
big game hunter's a little bit late too. So 7 points of damage available for Powder this turn.
maybe 8.
Could be more. Alor Peacekeeper.
Well, he can't leave the minions on board, right?
I mean, I think he's definitely worried about forcing. He did already see a Savage War, and I don't think he's got an efficient way to play around combo right now. So I think he just has to ignore it. I mean, he might feel like he's going to trade into the Shredder, which I think that's totally reasonable.
What if Doomsayer happens?
I think you're actually pretty happy about Doomsayer, all things considered.
Really? I wouldn't say so.
Let me.
Savage or if he leaves
you got
the
I think you got to go
minions-
face the weapon. That's the one thing I think you have to do.
But if he leaves minion on board, and Lifecoach just draws Savage Roar. That's end of the game.
4, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 15. He's got 16 right now. With just the swipe and the hero power. And the force nature. Yep, I actually really like playing the Quartermaster here too, and just
I agree with that.
just trying to get more health on the board. So
And
Lifecoach.
Keeper.
Oh,
That's not
yeah, he doesn't have the mana to do all this either. He's got
Well, he
5,
can-
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's got 16 points of damage here.
He can heal himself to 8 and clear the board.
So Azure Drake goes into
Azure Drake goes into the Divine Shield.
yeah.
Swipe. Pilot Shredder goes to Peacekeeper. You swipe the rest.
So you check the Shredder first. That's the first thing you do then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. And the discount on this mana is so crucial.
Oh, he goes first for that.
Oh,
that
careful,
difference?
Lifecoach.
That's
No,
a, that's
there's
a,
a big
huge
difference,
difference
yeah.
because you have to utilize the one attack from the Drake first.
Yeah,
And-
the difference is that he would just be putting 1 extra damage on his Drake, is really what it is, because he would attack the Drake into the Elder Peacekeeper and then put the Shredder into the 2/2 instead.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, so he is putting an extra damage on his Drake here, but...
Why would you do that?
Well, I mean, I guess there's also a chance he's using... You know, he can't use Key to the Grove. He has to heal himself. He's committed to healing himself at this point.
Yeah.
I think he just realized, too. You saw him shake his head. I think he just realized that he cost himself more health than Drake.
And also the options from the Pilot Shredder. Oh, he will deal 1 point of damage from that. That's
Oh.
actually relevant.
5, 6, 7, 8.
That's actually relevant because if he wouldn't
14,
attack first,
16.
he might have
Yeah,
just killed
that's
someone
true.
with the Juggle
Yeah.
from the Shadow Boxer.
Oh, well, that's enough for lethal, by the way. With this attack. I mean, Lifecoach falls to 3, but I mean, look how much damage this is. 11, 12, 13, 14. It looks like 16 damage to me.
And
that's 17
an additional
damage.
point of damage. Yeah. So Lifecoach wins an unfavorable matchup, and yeah, that's additional 3 points of damage.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, is he killing? Is Lifecoach
It's
BMing?
BMing. It's BMing.
Lifecoach is not BMing. He's just finding more clever ways to add damage on top of what he's got. So ties the series up at 1 game apiece. I think Paladin is one of the ones that Druid can kind of struggle with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but in this game, really getting the job done.
Wow.
Such a big grind.
So
in that
MVP for this
mid-game.
game, Emperor.
Well, Emperor's up there. I think Nourish is really kind of an undersided card in this one, too. It gave him so many options when he drew those cards. He was just safe from the amount of pressure that Powder was able to apply. Lifecoach knew that going into the matchup. And playing that Nourish really early on, it just gave him so many options. And then also being patient with the Emperor. He didn't play it at the first chance he had. You know, he didn't feel like he was in panic mode at any point in that game, except for kind of getting the late stages where he's, you know,
Which is very hard to
taking his time.
decide because when you're a Druid player, if you're behind, you have a such hard time to make a comeback, right?
Yeah.
So playing the Nourish was a calculated decision in
Yeah.
this situation. And if you think about it, Nourish did draw 3 cards, which were then discounted by the Emperor. So it's basically Nourish was not only 3 cards drawn, but also in a 1.5 on an Innovate.
Yeah, I mean, big stuff. that counts for when you take all those things into consideration. And again, really good stuff, not panicking when he's kind of falling behind on the board and being really patient with what he's got, knowing that Paladin doesn't have too much pressure it can apply, and really using that time to his advantage. So Druid's going to be locked for Lifecoach. He's got Warlock and Paladin left, and Powder has got Paladin and Freeze Mage left. I still feel like that Powder's got a slight advantage in this one.
He has. The Warlock against
ever so slight,
Paladin
though.
is an okay matchup for Warlock, I would say.
Yeah,
Right? Because
I actually think that Warlock's a little bit favored in that one.
the Paladin has one way to win this game. It's to go aggressive from the start of the game, just push for damage and finish it off with a Consecration or Quartermaster.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Or have like a really very strong quality turn after being aggressive early on. A couple ways to win that one. And then Freeze Mage, of course, versus Paladin. The heals can be a little bit of trouble.
I'm not sure how many heals Lifecoach plays.
That's the thing I was just about to mention too. He's got 2 copies of Piloted Sky Golem, I believe, in his Paladin deck.
There's a land hands and
Well,
anti-kill
there's
bot.
a land hands and anti-kill bot. So if Lifecoach knows that he's playing against Freeze Mage at
He
this point,
he knows.
do you ever keep those cards in your hand?
Those are liability until there's an Alexstrasza being played.
They're so key to winning the game, though.
After Alexstrasza being
Yes, but Alexstrasza's, I mean, that's a key to Powder winning. If he doesn't draw Alexstrasza, it doesn't even matter if those are dead cards.
played. It's so hard to decide, you know?
I actually think I like keeping him in this situation. I mean, he's got a 2-drop, he's got a 3-drop, and again, these 2 cards are just so critical. What else does he need here? What would he rather find?
Tyrion?
You think he'd rather have Tyrion than Land Hands right now?
Ragnaros.
Oh, does he have Ragnaros in his Paladin deck?
I think so.
If he has Ragnaros in his Paladin deck, I can agree with mulliganing these. Because Ragnaros is one of the biggest threats versus Freeze Mage.
Yes, I agree. Without the polymorph, you have to sacrifice a Fireball or Pyroblast against the Ragnaros, and when you do that, you sacrifice a large chunk.
Wow, he actually mulliganed away the Owl Peacekeeper, which is really surprising to me because
Yeah, I
it's just a
would say
3-mana 3/3 in this matchup.
That's legit.
Instead of hero powering on turn 2 or on turn 3, you get a +2/+2 for 1 mana.
Well, he got the Mind Control deck back. So that's basically the same card.
He did the math.
And the 9 is in the hand without the coin. Too bad for Powder here.
Yeah, I think Powder, this game, I mean, the keys to this game, of course, is just Powder being able to stabilize through what's going on.
There's a single owl from Lifecoach's
Yep.
deck.
Now, the question here is he going to owl this Acolyte of Pain and start denying draws, or does he want to save this for a Doomsayer?
I think you can't silence the Acolyte of Pain. It's just too big of a deal to lose your whole board to an Doomsayer.
This is a really tough call. This is, I mean, this one's going the full duration, I think, for Lifecoach.
90 seconds, we can go take something to drink.
I'm just going to run off to the store real quick.
Well, I had to take the bathroom break before I got here because, you know, it's a Lifecoach match. So it most likely it will take
Oh
1
gosh, I'm
hour
going to
and a
get
half.
so punished on that one. Game 3.5 is going to roll around. I'll be like, "Ugh." Gosh, this owl. It's so tempting to owl here. You're denying at least 2 draws if you Iron Beak Owl.
You have no information yet. What is the quality of your opponent's hand?
The only information you have is that he's got 5 cards.
Yes.
Yeah. He
And-
didn't have Mad Scientist. He didn't have Loot Hoarder.
So that's bunch of information.
I mean, it's not really too vital stuff. I mean, I can see the owl here. Yeah, I mean, 2
Oh,
draws.
wow.
God, it's just tough to pass up. And Powder, you saw he was actually a little bit confused. He was surprised that Lifecoach wasn't holding on to that. I actually don't mind foregoing the Arcane Intellect here, but I think I would still Arcane Intellect.
Yep.
I mean, the Acolyte body is just not worth nearly as much.
So you pop off the Divine Shield.
Do you? I mean, I would tend to say you go for the Iron Beak Owl.
The Divine Shield doesn't matter with Doomsayer First Nova because
Yeah.
it gets destroyed anyway. But he doesn't have Doomsayer First Nova. That's the
Reporting for
problem.
duty.
He does have Blizzard though, and so, you know, Quartermaster is definitely something that's going to weigh on his mind this turn. But he doesn't have a way around that. He has no way to play around it.
That's a good pickup. So
The
play
only
Ice-
way you
Yep.
play around it is, does he ping a 1/1 here, or does he ping the shielded mini-bot?
I would say he's pinging the 1/1.
Yeah, just hedge his bets against Quartermaster because it's going to be such a devastating play if he has it.
Yeah.
I think I would tend to agree with that.
It's way more punishing than just.
He's also got
the
Flame Strike to follow up
Division.
on the Blizzard here. This is looking really good for Powder. But, I mean, that's a lot of gas in Lifecoach's hand, though. Again, Dr. Boom and
Dr. Boom,
Tyrion. Yeah.
Back-to-back turns. That's huge. And maybe that Light Justice is also important. It's
4 extra
additional
damage.
4 damage.
Yep. Doesn't seem like much.
Yeah, but it's just chipping off.
Yep, every
health.
single point counts.
Yeah.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Belcher turn? I would say so, right?
I guess 30 cuts is really all it takes.
That's a huge Ledge Justice, man. Or a
Light
heavily
Justice doesn't
repaired
look,
one.
that looks like it's going to deal a lot more than 1 damage. Just put it. Keep in mind, getting hit with that hammer is 1 point of damage.
It's I don't know what it's made of, but definitely not steel.
Yeah, imagine what a blizzard must feel like. That's only 2 points of damage. That's 2 hammer hits. Oh, this is what a blizzard feels like.
But
Wow.
freezes the minion with Divine Shield. That was actually changed some time ago, right? Because if the frost damage wouldn't damage the creature itself, it wouldn't affect it.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think it has a lot to do with the wording. Like, something that's really interesting to note is actually, if your opponent has Imp Gang Boss in play, and you Blizzard, the damage gets dealt to Imp Gang Boss. It creates a token, and then the token gets frozen.
No.
Oh. Yeah, I know, it's really crazy. But it's the order of operations for however the game is supposed to work. So Powder, he's put together a lot of damage here, but again, this is the amount of pressure.
Do you think he will just go face with everything viable?
12, well, let's just count. 12, 19, he's got 29 to face. And that's without playing an Archmage first. I'm going to guess he's going to play this game a little bit slower than usual. So a lot of damage going to get dealt to him here. But I like the Flame Strike before the Blizzard.
It's basically the same effect, but you have saved the
Well, the difference is that
effect for the next turn.
Yeah, the difference is you're taking 7 damage from this guy.
How much damage was it?
It looked like it was 2 damage from the Boom
Oh, I
Bots.
didn't see.
I mean, he was at 28, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So the difference between Blizzarding and using Flame Strike this turn is that you're going to have more damage next turn with the Flame Strike, and you're also taking 7 damage now for this Doctor Boom. The trade-off for that, of course, is that you clear out the Sludge Belcher body. I actually don't know if Flame Strike's better first. This is a really interesting turn.
Well, next turn is Tyrion. I would say.
It's actually really tough.
He didn't attack for 1. What?
No. Oh, with the Light's Justice. It's in
Yeah.
case he draws, in case he's like a quality, like a Doomsday or something. Like a quality post.
What about Crucible turn? You can utilize that instantly. Okay, now he can kill the Loot Hoarder.
He's got it all figured out.
Yeah,
Lifecoach
he knows
what's
it
going
all.
on. Yeah. It's calculated.
Insane. Do you play Tyrion here?
Oh, I could jam it. Yeah, no question.
Put your faith in the light.
Well, Lifecoach is going to put his faith in the light. Golden Tyrion's so beautiful.
Frost Nova, but no Doomsayer.
He's
You
1
keep
mana
the
off.
Antonidas for... And I mean, you keep the Frost Nova for Antonidas, but Lifecoach
I think at this point he's just going to count it. I
Consecration.
think at this point he's going to count his damage. I mean, he's got to do something to stave damage off this turn.
So, Fireball Phase? Right now?
Well, the first order of business is going to be, I think, pinging this this Dr. Boom.
Yeah. Pinging Boom and Fireballing Phase.
Does he really want to fireball face right now, though?
Well, he has
I mean, your hand is
amount of
really
damage.
face up if you fireball him.
Yeah, but what is his strategy otherwise? He only has damage. That's it. That's your hand. Only damage. You want to use a Frostbolt on a Horizon Jones? That sucks.
I don't disagree with you. I think it does suck, but I think he's really considering Frost Noving here. Okay, so here's what he wants to do if he Frost Novas. He wants to play Archmage, Frostbolt, Ice Lance next turn, and hope that the Frost Nova has bought him enough time that the Ice Block won't get popped, and he has all these burn spells that he can play afterwards. I think I like this line to play best.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a lot of damage on Lifecoach's side, though. He's gonna be able to pop the block the turn after Antonidas. So Powder's actually got his back against the wall.
Palted Sky Golem and Hero Power, right?
I mean, it looks good to me. I don't mind the mind control tech either, though, just to get stuff on the board. Yeah, extra power is always good.
Extra 2 points of power.
Yep.
And it doesn't die to Blizzard. Well, it was two.
Well, both Blizzards have been
Yeah,
used,
both
so it's a Flame
Blizzards. Yeah,
Strike.
never mind.
So at this point, it's really a matter of if Powder has another Ice Block or a way to live, you know, after the pop happens.
Or does he have lethal after Antonidas?
Yeah, that definitely.
He will gain 2 fireballs.
Well, he's going to be putting Lifecoach at 19, and then with the anti-heal he goes back up to 27. He just doesn't have time to play all his fireballs. He's going to have enough damage to eventually kill Lifecoach.
Yeah.
Does he have enough time to eventually kill Lifecoach?
And to save himself from death.
Yeah, I mean, he has to have time to do all to spend all that mana. I think he's got to draw another Ice Block to win this game.
Or Ice Barrier. Wouldn't matter.
It's
like 1 creature and a half attack. I would say with those creatures.
This is 18 power on the board right now, so this is exact. Oh,
wow.
my gosh. Well,
this changed the whole game. That's additional 11 points of damage.
I bring life.
that is a big deal.
Well, now the Ice Lance will prevent from attacking, which is okay. But you lose the Antonidas Frostbolt Ice Lance combo, but that doesn't matter because you just gained 11 points of damage with the single Extraza.
Yeah, actually, the Ice Lance here, I don't think it matters too much. Again, the Alexstrasza, you get so much damage from it.
Exactly.
So you have 15 next turn with Fireball and Frostbolt. He's preventing his Ice Block from getting popped this turn, and then he has follow-up with the Pyroblast. This is that Alexstrasza was a freaking huge draw.
That was
That
like
was- I mean, that had to be the
1
best
to
draw of the
18. I think that was like 1 to 18.
I think he's a little bit deeper in his deck than that. He's used Arcane Intellect. He's got Loot Hoarder off.
Oh, it's 10, turn 9, turn 10.
It was
so
turn 10,
10,
yeah, so 10,
20,
12,
16.
Yeah, it's about 14 to 1, I think.
Yeah, 14 to 1.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, 15 to 1.
Wow, even like a True Silver Champion. Would that have popped the block this turn? Yeah, True Silver Champion would have popped the block too.
Use the quality this turn.
Only he had a way to kill his own Tyrion. 23, so you're gonna see Pyroblast this turn, I imagine.
Engaging TC
He needs Lion Hands next turn. Oh, there's also a huge draw.
Yeah, I think he just Pyroblast him though. All right, well, Lifecoach needs something.
A second
Pull this game
Heal
through.
Bot or
Keys and Mystic, another way to heal, or a Lotheb is the only
And
thing that's going to buy him more time right now.
Consecration.
Consecration's
That's
not
not
going to
enough.
do it. Powder's going to take a 2-1 lead over Lifecoach. That Alexstrasza, I think,
saved him.
was, I mean, that was a miracle draw. He still had a couple extra draws I think that could have won in this game, but Alexstrasza was by far the best draw in his deck at that point.
Yes, Ice Block was the second best. Ooh, no.
It just doesn't
No,
matter.
no, no.
Yeah, just
There's
you
no
play a
way.
minion and you say go.
Yeah.
There's a chance that maybe you're not supposed to play anything in case he can't kill you, and then you draw a heal bot or something, but I don't think it matters too much. Just Powder. Wow, what a game by both of these. I think both of these two played this game pretty excellently.
True.
Yeah. True. In the end, matchup.
The Tyrion didn't matter at all.
Not one single bit.
Yeah.
Poor
Which is
Tyrion.
unfortunate.
Tyrion usually does matter. Whether or not he's biting you or really going the distance. It's really rare that you see Tyrion be neutral to a board state.
It was like a 6/6 vanilla minion. It didn't get the Divine Shield popped.
No,
it didn't.
but it
the
had
taunt.
Divine Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the taunt totally mattered. He had to put both fireballs into it before he was able to fireball face. Yeah, so Paladin left for Powder, and he's got to face off against Warlock and Paladin left. So 2 chances to do it. One of these is kind of a mirror match. Again, I would tend to think that Powder's deck is a little bit more aggressive, but we're gonna have to see how that goes. And then against Warlock, I still think that Warlock has got an edge versus Paladin, and I think the bigger story there is that you're able to kind of trade 1 for 1. And then you have your hero power at the end of the game. So aside from really big equality turns, you have such a big edge. That's really when you end up seeing your games that you're losing now is when your opponent has giant equalities.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. And so it all comes down to basically the Paladin mirror match.
Yeah, I would think so. I think the Paladin mirror match is going to really be telltale.
Unless
winning this game.
Powder plays 2 big hunters in this Paladin.
The other thing, too, is how's he going to deal with the piloted Sky Golems? Like, if it gets to that sort of a grind, Aldor Peacekeeper is really great against that, but you know, it's really, we're going to have to see what's going to happen because the builds matter so much.
That's true.
When it goes into that. So we're at game 3 right now. Powder's on on match point versus Lifecoach. But we're going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, game 4, Powder versus Lifecoach. Don't go anywhere. Gfinity with Hearthstone Spring Masters number 2. Game 4 is going to get underway as soon as our players are ready. It's Lifecoach versus Powder. And Powder, though, out to a little bit of an advantage here. He's got to win 1 of the next 2 games with his Paladin deck, and he's facing off against Handlock and against Lifecoach's very, very Lifecoachy, greedy Paladin deck.
True. He's one game away from semifinals, and this means a lot for Powder, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the line here. I mean, you know, top 8 is worth 5 points, but this single match alone is worth how it was $1,250.
Yeah, I
top
think you're
4.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this is a big deal, you know, for both these guys. Not a small chunk of change that's on the table here.
And
Plus,
also
there's more
the
points
upgrade for
available.
points, yeah.
Plus
That's
the
what I
chance to
wanted
win even more money and even more points afterwards.
glory.
So a lot on the line here today,
And possible invites for the next Gfinity Spring Masters.
always something that's got to be in your mind. Powder again qualified for both of these. In the open
that's really
brackets.
insane when you think about it.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe a guy you want to be looking at to invite to some of your events for the tournament organizers out there watching. So again, as soon as these players are ready, I'm gonna go forward. But yeah, I can't stress enough that I really like Lifecoach's plan of playing greedy decks and hoping that other people are playing control decks and then trying to get an edge through that deck building. But
Do you think it fits in the current metagame?
that's really the question that I'm wondering about is how it fits in the metagame, because sort of the weakness that we saw Reynad when he beat Lifecoach yesterday, he had a very aggressive lineup, and that seems to be traditionally just what Lifecoach has struggled against in the past. So for him to play to his strengths, I think is something that he should be doing. Even if that means that sometimes he'll be sacrificing some games versus more aggressive strategies, playing to your strengths is something that's very, very important to be doing in almost any game that you play competitively.
Very true. I have nothing to add to that.
Well, actually nailed one for once. Can you believe it? So yeah, game's going to be underway here, and Lifecoach again back against the wall, but we've seen him in situations like this before.
That's not uncommon occurrence for him.
Yeah, always. I mean, again, it's just information is really where his game is at. You know, the more decisions he gets to make, the better it is for him. So when these series go to game 5, I feel like he's usually got a big edge.
That's
in that last
true.
one.
What do you think about that? Lifecoach has the coin, which is very important in the mirror match, I would say. And he has 2 consecration in his hand. I would keep the mind control deck and the consecration.
This is really a match that I've struggled in a lot. Traditionally, you know, I've played a lot of Paladin, but the matchup that I think I'm weakest in with Paladin is the Paladin versus Paladin mirror.
And it all depends on the knife jugglers.
That's what it feels like to me. My knife jugglers like really, really like to hit face. He's like, I got it, boss. Free damage. I'm like, no, hit his 1/1s.
Well,
Maybe
you
that's my
said
issue with it. I just need to whip him into shape. Make
you're
him run some
always
laps.
you're always talking about hitting face. So you know the juggler's just sticking to your
Like
plan.
father, like son.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Kill his minions. They're free.
Job's done.
That's when you got to go to your collection. And you like disenchant
Cult Master.
knife juggler, and you recraft him over and over again. You're like bad knife juggler, bad knife juggler. Yeah, Cult Master is actually something that I've been seeing pop up in a few decks lately.
Well, it was used in Zoo and Paladin for some time, but
Yes.
it
Recently, it's even been a shaman.
really.
Some shaman decks will play Cult Master to try to generate a mid-game edge with stuff like Flame Toning and trading in all the totems when you have a Cult Master play. So
That's
something that you're looking
interesting.
forward to like turn 6. I'm not sure how successful it's been, but I've seen it, and I've played against it a couple times on ladder. In this match,
It depends if there will be Masterful Battle. Equality is not something you want to get this soon. So it's just hero power, I would say.
yeah, I would think so.
Well, the Konghammer has some value here, but it's minimal. You can trade. Well, you can trade. Okay, you can say 1 damage to your face.
I think one of the keys to making the token is where you think Lifecoach is going to go with this token afterwards. That's if you choose to attack face. So you might be able to force. I think I still like making the token here. But how deep down the road are you looking to play this Cult Master? How important is it to the strategy, and when is the exact time to play it?
No idea. Maybe I think it's most of the time it's just after the Masterful Battle. And that's it. Consecration, wow. That's huge.
Just gonna
I mean, I don't
consecrate
mean this turn, but in general, when you have the equality and consecration,
Go for it. So this is really, I think that this play is so indicative of the way that Powder wants to play this matchup, which is he
Very
wants to be the
aggressive.
aggressor and he wants to be pushing for it. And especially with a hand like this, I don't think he's really got the luxury of trying to make too many decisions. His, you know, his recovery point, again, is going to be having initiative rolling into a strong Cult Master turn.
Lifecoach is kind of pushed to play the Belcher, which will be met with the Owl and a minion from the Hero Power. Then Lifecoach will play Consecration, and that's it. That's turn 5 for Lifecoach, I would say. Turn 6.
Tough.
Turn 5 for Powder will be dependent on the draw, because it might be something like a complete whiff, and then he will just have to play the Quartermaster on the board without any kind of support, which is, I think you can even skip that and just Hero Power.
Such very different styles clashing in this game. Like you see Powder just play so aggressively and trying to push for damage. And Lifecoach is just, I'll take it one step at a time.
Yeah. Well, turn 6, we know exactly what Lifecoach will do. Turn 5 Consecration, turn 6 Emperor, I would say. Oh wow.
Gosh.
The 2 Consecrations will matter a lot.
You think so?
Yeah, I would say.
I think that big game hunter is going to matter even more. So a few more points of damage going to be pushed through here.
No. Okay, he did what I predicted, so now we'll see Consecration and maybe a Zombie Chow from the top. Nope. I don't think he even plays Zombie Chows.
I don't think we've seen Zombie Chow for his deck entire weekend. But again, that's just really playing into Lifecoach's style, where he's like, I know I'm weak versus aggro as it is, so I'll just
You know
hope that I
what?
run into
He
the
might
right
think
matchups.
about saving the Consecration, just going for the Mind Control. That doesn't make any sense, right? Nah.
I
Okay,
think
he
you
did.
just push here.
Yeah, he did what he
It's a 3-for-1 with a
saying,
Consecrate. You have second Consecrate as backup.
And now Powder. Okay, so Hero Power and Minibot. So the top deck saves his turn 6. He knows what he will do on turn 7, and we know what will be turn 7 for Lifecoach 2.
This is
And
looking
now
really bad for
Emperor for sure. Emperor killed the 1/1 and killed the Divine Shield, I think, with the Belcher. You don't need that 3 points of damage yet, and you want to be sure that the Divine Shield is off for the Consecration.
When I look at this hand from Lifecoach, I feel like he can just kind of close his eyes and click buttons and win this game. That's how good his hand is right now. Like,
He's kept the 3
like
points
which one of these cards hitting the board is like bad for him right now? You're like, I accidentally played my Piloted Sky Golem instead. You didn't have a way to answer that either.
Lay on hands. Well, that's definitely a good card. Good card.
I'm struggling to find a way that Powder actually wins this game. Like Boombots are in check, Dr. Boom's in check. Lifecoach has got pressure on the board. He's got a card that's a must answer right now.
Dr. Boom is green. You have to go green. And I meant his skin color. Haha!
I see what you did there. I mean, he reached for not killing the Emperor here is, it feels bad.
Yeah, but what else? What else do you do? You can't even sacrifice the mini bots for the Cult Master. Think about that.
I think Powder got put in rough shape this game with his, very, very aggressive.
I don't think the discount after the first turn matters so much as the first one,
Oh, that's definitely. I think it's definitely.
So I would definitely go with the Dr. Boom this turn. Because this just sucks.
He's just playing Cult Master face up on the board.
Oh, wow.
Does Lifecoach even care about the Cult Master right now?
What about Knife Juggler into Mind Control tech?
I feel like he's in a very similar
Anyone-
spot where he can just kind of close his eyes and click buttons, and the options really work out for him.
If you want to deny the draw for Powder, you can go for a 50-50 with the Knife Juggler.
You just saw quality. You've seen a Consecrate. I think you're pretty confident your opponent doesn't have True Silver Champion. I think you just drop Tyrion here.
But then you give him the draw.
I think you're okay with that. One card draw to be able to have Tyrion and Kel'Thuzad potentially on the board.
It's so silly.
Consecrate just doesn't yield him any clean turns afterwards.
Well, you can't fit the Consecrate with Piloted Sky Golem. If that would be like a 7-mana turn, that would be the turn.
that would be kind of a no-brainer. I think he's going to go with Tyrion here. Again, you're not.
Well,
I don't think you're.
he goes for the
too much.
50-50.
Wow.
Wow,
He's just going to
wow.
continue to play it very slow.
So he denies a card draw. So
He actually played the mind control
values.
card. Is that right?
Yeah, because why would you keep that right now? You push.
Fine, getting a 3/3
Look,
out.
look at the damage. He's at 15. You push for 3. Oh, that matters.
A little bit.
Well, this matters a lot. Now Powder would just play Master of Battle and Quartermaster, I think. And Life
my
Coach
gosh.
is being punished now for the mind control.
Don't play. Oh gosh, it's painful. Oh jeez.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
This is not for this turn, but for the next turn.
Yeah, it just. Oh gosh, it's so brutal.
So you go face with both minions, and then you play Big Game Hunter. Or even maybe Hero Power first. No. You want to fit the Piloted Sky Golem.
Yeah, you definitely want the Pilot
Yeah,
Sky Golem.
so-
No. I think the Hero Power is great here. Even you weave
It's
it. That's a
1/1.
free 1/1.
It's for 2 mana,
Yeah.
and you don't.
Look, you've only got 20 mana worth of minions in your hand after that.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time to play all those. You need that 1/1. It's vital to your victory.
I think so. I value those 1/1s. And those recruits, they need glory. Battle glory.
So I like the Pilot Sky Golem first to try to absorb some of these robots.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well,
matter.
yeah, that's one of the worst results. And obviously he doesn't want his Big Game Hunter to get hit, so he's going to go ahead and attack you first.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Actually, that's not bad.
Well, what is he going to target with him? Powder just draws Fireball. He's like, wait, what?
This is the first time I see an untargetable Big Game Hunter.
Powder's
His-
actually facing down 9
his
points of damage
stealth-
too, by the way. So he has to put it lay on hands. The animation for Can't Be Targeted is so interesting looking.
They're
It kind of looks like
shrouded.
they're just
It's like a
walking
shroud.
through like a big smog cloud.
Shroud. If you go for the mist, if you go for Knife Juggler and Master, no, you can't. You're
No,
dead.
he has to go for lay on
Yeah.
hands. He would have to get perfect juggles.
Piloted Shredder, True Silver Champion. Oh, another shot. What?
Yeah, well, again, this deck is pretty much, it's very tailored to have an aggressive early game, is what it looks like. So something like an Oiotron helping to keep your board presence,
Interesting.
to protect what's going on. It makes sense to me, but just at the end of the day, it's just too much.
Put your
Life
faith
Coach
in the
again. We
light.
get to this late game
Dun,
spot.
dun, dun, dun.
That is a
Reporting for duty.
6/6 Divine Shield with a Death Rattle summon a 5/3 that you can't target right now.
And you can use the Peacekeeper. No, you can. You can.
You
use
can't
the
target it
Peacekeeper.
with spells
Yeah.
or hero powers.
So you can't play that 1/1 on the Tyrion.
Yeah, I mean, these juggles are going to have to be absolutely spot on.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Reporting for duty. Follow the rules.
Follows the rules and hit face. So you're dead.
Powder has not had the best RNG this game.
Did you land the Knife Juggler to Powder?
Yeah, you might be using mine actually. I only have one golden one too, so I always use my 2 normal ones.
I have 2 Goldens.
Life Coach, I think he played that game so well, and the aggression really, I think, played exactly into Life Coach's plan because it's not enough aggression to put him on sort of like a panicking back foot. It's just enough to like kind of expend just a little bit more than you wanted to.
Yeah.
And then lose control of the board. So
Yeah, that's
no
true.
opportunity to utilize Cult Master the entire game, and I think that was one of his big keys to victory was finding a turn to be able to use it, and frankly, it just didn't come up.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. The Cold Master is kind of like a dead card. It was a dead card.
In that game, yeah, it definitely was.
It didn't do anything. It was an overcosted Big Game Hunter with no effect.
That sounds like a great card, man.
Great card to play, especially in Paladin, which lacks card draw.
The only thing that's better than a big game hunter with no effect for 3 mana is a big game hunter with no effect into a mana wraith. That's the only way to do it. So game 5 is going to be coming up here now. And
So
it's
this is the
handlocked for
hand
Life
of a
Coach.
Paladin. And Life Coach is definitely happy with that matchup.
I think so, but this is the one spot I think where Cult Master really does have an opportunity to get even more value now. Because you'll so often be having turns where you have, like, say, 3 minions on the board, and then they play something that has big taunt, you get to play Cult Master, run those 3 minions in, get 3 extra cards from it. So that's a big difference. And then also, again, the aggression here from Powder, if he couples that with an equality, that's a bigger push he's making than a typical Paladin deck will when it's trying to play a very long game and stabilize through stuff like Lifecoach is playing Paladin, Sky Golem, Tyrion, and Kel'Thuzad.
So he needs a coin to coin out.
Look at that, there's even a Blood Knight in here.
What can I say? But I wanted to say that Powder needed the coin. Really badly. Because if you want to be aggressive with the Paladin, you need to drop a 2-mana minion on turn 1 to go into Hero Power or a second 2-mana minion into a Peacekeeper on whatever, and then into a Truce of a Champion.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
And now, Lifecoach will not keep the Molten Giant for sure. That's like one of the worst.
Well,
what?
You are incorrect, my friend. He kept the Molten Giant for sure.
Okay, so he's predicting that Powder will go face with everything.
Yeah, I think what he saw last game gives him a really good indicator.
Hellfire.
That's one of the strongest cards I think that Warlock has against Paladin.
Oh, Lifecoach is... I think he's turning into Super
He's finding
Saiyan.
his center and he's focusing his chi. Did I tell you about the dream I had?
No,
last
better
night,
not.
I wonder.
The finals of that tournament. This is a dream I had last night. This literally happened. I got back to my hotel room. I passed out. I woke up laughing this morning. A dream I had. Lifecoach actually won the finals of this tournament in my dream. And he won it by top decking Goldshire Footman in the last game. And when he top decked it, he jumped up and he yelled and he roundhouse kicked his monitor, which set off a chain reaction of explosions that eventually led to his opponent's hero portrait exploding and then eventually them.
Nice.
It looked like he was getting prepared for that moment.
Imagine that tweet from the Not Shy Footman. He has an account, right?
Yeah, at Footman FTW. Yeah, that's a great one. Goldshire Footman guys on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
The mini-bot is powerful. Because it doesn't die to AoE.
It's just tough. It's just one of those annoying to deal with minions.
Yep.
That's like a true Annoyatron.
Oh, wow.
1 power or taunt. Take your pick. Well, it's 1 power.
Oh, that's the Ragnaros. It's not needed. Knife Juggler. Oh, that's great. That's a great pickup, I would say.
I still think I would tend to muster for battle here.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if you get 3 damage out of these muster for battle tokens, this also is going to prompt a Hellfire, I think, sometimes.
No way that Hellfire will be played right now. No
You don't think
way.
so? You think there's 0 chance?
0 chance.
Fair enough.
Now he'll play it.
This is where he's surprised. He's just going to jam the big game out of yours.
Yeah, he might. I will be not surprised by that at all.
You really wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. What do you keep? What's the target? Dr. Boom, single Dr. Boom, and you have 2 Big Game Hunters in your Warlock deck.
Yeah, it's just going to die, though.
Yeah, but if it will die to the Divine Shield, that's perfect for you because you will use the Hellfire on turn 4 for sure. Because you're kinda Automaster.
Yeah, that's true. I think I like Mortal Coil.
The Divine Shield or the 1/1?
One of the 1/1s, and get a little bit more information, and then probably drop Ancient Watcher. But he can't life tap this turn. That's the one thing he can't do unless he's going to combo with one.
So the Mortal Coil, yeah, will basically the same as Lifetime.
Yeah, I think you're just wanting to dig at this point. He's got to make a decision, though.
No, he just fell asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's the Hellfire.
Okay, I was wrong.
All sorts of crazy stuff. You're trolling me just like Nimsh was yesterday.
Blood Knight.
Perfect timing.
For Powder, yes.
Yeah, it looks like Knife Juggler.
You know what? I can hear RDU from here. It's amazing.
I feel that way when I'm just like sitting at home. It's like at some tournament somewhere. I'm like, I swear I can hear RDU, man. He's so loud. He's giving me the stink eye.
Well, you wanted the second Hellfire right now. That's the problem. That's why I didn't like it. Oh wow!
I think this is one of the reasons he actually is keeping Molten Giant in this matchup. Like, you're gonna get down to 10 like pretty often, And again, Paladin doesn't have like the largest amount of burst in the world. So if
I would say so.
if you stick 2 Molten Giants to the board, you're just gonna win the game. That's how that card works. It's really tough to beat 2 Molten Giants in one turn if you don't deal with them right away.
It's true, but there's an owl, and if there will be an equality, that's game for Powder, I would say.
He's got to draw quality though.
Yeah. And how many equalities is he playing?
I would assume 2.
Because he's favoring the more aggressive deck style, right?
Almost out of time.
Well, I would say 2 just because I think it's so vital to so many of your matchups. Like just the way that the strategy works out. I don't necessarily think that you need 2 equalities, but you want to draw one. Is really why you have 2 cards.
Okay. Second Nap Juggler. Wow. That's a lot of face damage.
He's definitely worried about something like Shadowflame right now, though. I mean, that
Yes.
Ancient Watcher is really threatening to Shadowflame.
So do you deal 5 points of damage? You deal 2. I would say.
Glory to the
Well,
Sindora.
another face damage? Yes.
Now, I am really curious why he chose to play the Blood Knight instead of playing the other Knife Juggler. What life total does he want to leave Lifecoach at this turn?
I'm not sure. I would say this.
Well, if he puts him to 11, you're going to see 1 Molten Giant and a Taunt, potentially.
Yeah, but it's a town with Ancient Water,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is disastrous. Wow.
5 mana, Lifecoach only has 1 way to taunt. He doesn't have a Sludge
3,
Belcher.
5, 6, 9, 10 points.
3,
That's
6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
that's almost lethal next turn.
11, 12. Yeah, I mean, this is getting really darn close.
That's why I didn't like the Hellfire turn 3. You have no way of coming back because your hand just sucks. So he has to taunt up this turn, and then Powder can just play Knife Juggler, Owl, and maybe go lethal.
Does he have to taunt this turn, though? I mean, look at how much damage he's faced in. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage, right? So if he's facing True Silver, he doesn't get that extra attack in with this Light's Justice. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. So True Silver would leave you at 1 HP, and obviously
And
versus
there's a
Knife
Knife
Juggler, that's not
Juggler.
very appealing.
Yeah.
But I don't think he can afford to really just taunt up right here. I think he's just got to play stuff, honestly. Yeah,
Okay.
This looks like the best play to me.
Yeah, it's not bad, but now he's so weak to Consecration.
There's a second Consecration, too. So this is going to be the all-in turn from Powder. Powder's going to make his push right here. Well, he could leave his opponent at 12, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, he's not going to do it. I don't blame him either.
Yeah,
I'd be
I
making
would
the
go
push
for
here,
the
too.
same.
Down to 5 is Lifecoach. No AoE in hand, but he's got 2 Molten Giants and a Defender of Argus. And Powder, he's debating between Knife Juggler or the Hero Power here. I mean, I would go for the Knife Juggler. I think you want every single point of damage you can possibly get.
A Hellfire will be disastrous. Because you can't
No,
play-
Hellfire's not disastrous.
Why? You have
put him at 2. You have a Consecration in your hand.
Yeah,
Hellfire's
I mean
perfect.
for Lifecoach.
Oh, yeah. For Lifecoach, it'd be disastrous. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you definitely go with the Knife Juggler here. I mean, now's the time. You've gone all in. If your opponent can deflect what's happening right now, yeah, I really disagree with this.
Well, there's an Owl in hand. So you have to also come down to kill the second giant, right? It's Shadowflame.
Wow.
So what about drop both giants, taunt them up, and Shadowflame... No, you can't. No, you have to... Ah, this is tough.
It's really rough. I don't think he wants a Shadow Flame away on Molten Giant.
Well,
I mean, you need that damage to push. That's like the whole goal of playing it. But is he going to be afraid of something like Equality? Like Equality would crush him right here.
Equality means game.
Yeah, so...
Wow! He taps.
Wow, Lifecoach dropping to 3. If that Knife Juggler was there, I don't think he would have life tapped.
My shield
I would say
for
so.
Argus.
Equality will end the game. A Knife Juggle can end the game.
Low tap. That's also threatening. He can silence one. And Peacekeeper the second one.
Wait a minute. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is lethal. He can silence one of the Molten Giants, Consecrate deals 2 damage to one. He puts the 7 points on the board into the other Molten Giant, and then attacks for 1 with the Light's Justice.
Yeah, you're right.
Powder
Oh, wow.
just got lethal on Lifecoach. Wow, was that life tap a blunder? I wonder what the purpose behind that exactly was. Powder has exact lethal on the last turn. He's gonna knock out Lifecoach and advance to the top 4.
I'm not sure what was going through Lifecoach's mind here with the life tap.
That might have been a little bit greedy. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear his thoughts on it. I'm certainly going to ask him about it later to figure out what's going on. But Powder, man, this guy has put together quite a resume for himself lately. He's been very consistent for a while now. Again, he qualified for both Gfinity events. He needed to go 7-0 in his qualifiers to make it through, and now he's finding himself in the top 4. So a few extra World Championship points in his pocket as well. It's $1,250. And Lifecoach,
Disappointed.
Always hard on himself. Even when he wins, he finds ways to really evaluate his play there.
Definitely.
So, Powder, hopefully he's doing the same thing, man. Lifecoach is an example of the way that you get good at this game, which is always self-evaluation and looking for ways to improve.
Exactly.
Great series played by both these. Wow, what tough stuff.
Exciting last game, I would say.
Yeah, last game was really
What do you think
tense.
about the Hellfire? This is really like bugging me.
I think the Hellfire's fine. Honestly, I think that, with the 2 Molten Giants in his hand, again, I think his plan is just to stabilize the board position. And I think he's going to do it quite often. So to not let the board slip out, way out of hand that way, I think it's totally fine. But I wouldn't have mind seeing just a Mortal Coil and an Ancient Watcher too. I mean, there's so many different ways that game can pan out. It's tough to say. I think in that situation, it's sort of, again, one of the ways I think that you are most effective versus Lifecoach is by being aggressive. But, we're not the ones going to be talking about this. We got some analysts who watched the whole thing, and maybe they have some replays for you. So we're going to throw it over to Fronan at the analyst desk, and those guys are going to break down the postgame for you.
So there you have it. Lifecoach has been eliminated, and the Dutch boy Powder Dream is still alive, boys. Let's talk a little bit about Lifecoach keep tapping himself to lethal. What's going on here? I mean, the idea of handlock, of course, is the same as always. You always try to dig as deep as you can into your deck, always find the answers. But is it the right choice? Is it the correct choice to keep doing that the way he's been setting himself up to die every single time?
I think the idea is he's thinking about a certain place that he's not playing for and that he is playing for, and if it's quite unlikely, then he maybe just takes the risk and figures that in the long run he'll net him a gain in that. So it looks bad when it doesn't work out, but those 3 games before where it did work out, where he did tap into that card that he needed, then it comes out better, I suppose. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Handlock is a deck that is so difficult to play solely because of you have to have the perfect read on the game almost every time with what he can do, what he has, and you can sometimes look like a clown because you just don't have the exact cards. Or he has the exact cards that could kill you, and you're not, of course, paying attention to. This is a scenario where Rogue was able to set up really easily to eventually kill with just that deadly poison top to finish off the game and to start off the series here. But, of course, this also started with him being able to snowball the board. And a very interesting moment where Powder chose to exchange his own life as opposed to keep the 1-1 or trade the 1-1.
It's a bit of an interesting scenario. You can either, I suppose, go for the deadly and trade with the 1-1 in, or you can trade with the 3-3 in and trade with the 1-1 in. But he actually chose to go for the 3-3 and the weapon there. Risk that's often worth it, as the handlock. Usually, if he gets the board and he starts to do damage, the rogue loses anyway. So the health doesn't really matter in that case. So it's a fine risk to take there for Powder.
I like how it also sets up pretty well for a Sludge Belcher. Keeping 2 tokens on board with a Deadly Poison allows him to distribute 5 damage. Usually Rogue likes to pair all their damages in even numbers. 2 damage here, 4 damage there. And it's a little bit awkward sometimes to pair that, especially if you don't have Eviscerate to get through immediately. So I think overall that play, a little underrated, even though everyone's going to like, what? Why would you trade 8 damage to your own face willingly just to keep a 1-1 token on board when you can do the same by hero powering the face and then redaggering?
He had kind of a light hand, I suppose, so he had to, I guess, expand the resources that he couldn't have otherwise, I suppose. So
Also
he just
fair.
throws everything out there in the hopes of actually getting the lethal. Whereas if he had had maybe 6 or 7 cards, he would have kept the life total high, take less risks, I suppose. And I think the thing is, if you are behind, you're supposed to take a lot of risks, But if you're ahead, you should play safe and try to secure the win there.
I think another thing is that board as well. He didn't have any giants down, nothing, so he wasn't exactly threatened by any board at all. So maybe just taking that life, taking 8 damage wasn't a big deal at that point.
If Powder didn't tap, or not tap, but rather draw into this Alex Straza, does the game still go to him? Because he does have Antonites to get that burst, but he's sitting on almost around 27 damage-ish.
I mean,
would he be able to dig through, considering the amount of pressure he was receiving?
let's say that it doesn't do the Alstrasa. What possible way could he do anything? And that would maybe be
Be a pyroblast that turn, right, or something like that. Or
yeah,
trying
but
to
then
do
the heal
damage.
bot comes down and he's back up to over 20. So I think, like, if the Alistar doesn't come down, he'd need to go on like an Iceland Frostbolt, which is a really weak turn with Antonidas. Lifecoach threatens lethal and has a heal bot to back it up. So I think that was a really turning point there, getting the Alstrasa.
So
Yeah,
you think without that, this was Lifecoach's game?
I think it would be very, very close, but I think he'll be favored in that one actually. As there was no AoE, there was no draw, there was no nothing, so the hand would have become incredibly awkward.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yeah, Lifecoach had so much power on the board that turn. Unless he drew the Alex Razi, he was just out of the game, and he was quite lucky there, and he managed to snag the win. Even though Freeze Mage can do really well against that matchup, but as you said, that anti-heal bot is just one of those cards that Paladin needs to be able to fight off Freeze Mage and take a win. So he was very lucky with that Alex draw.
He kept that in the opening hand, by the way, against the Freeze Mage there actually.
I suppose, of course, his opponent just used one Consecrate. It's unlikely his opponent has a second one, and I think Lifecoach realized that he put himself... And imagine if he didn't have that. He wouldn't have the big game hunter, obviously, but he'd still be in an awkward spot because, after dealing with the first giant silencing and killing out the second, it'd still be an uncomfortable spot where he doesn't have the guaranteed opportunity to kill his opponent. So Lifecoach was still definitely in trouble, despite the fact that you can see he tapped himself in there within lethal range.
The thing is with Paladin, it's a really rough matchup. Most people say that it's favored for the handlock actually, as the handlock can get you stabilize and win. And the thing was, Lifecoach didn't draw a Shadow Flame until really, really late in the game. So normally how these games go is the Paladin gets ahead, then there's a Shadow Flame and you lose type of deal, But if there's no Shadow Flame and the Paladin gets a board rolling, if you can draw those equalities and those owls, he can just burst through, and it becomes wide open. And he did draw that owl and won the game.
He did have the Shadow Flame, it's just that he didn't have a lot of mana to even leverage it.
Yeah, I think it was on the last turn. Yeah, that he did get it. Yeah.
He basically had the choice of Shadow Flame or Argus at that point, and I think it didn't matter either way. I mean, the tap was a bit greedy, probably, but he's probably fishing for something to help him win at that point because it was so dire. But Lifecoach, especially day one of him playing, we saw him tapping quite aggressively at the, in some of his earlier games, so we're kind of consistent with his play style at least.
For sure. I think having those more options allows them better opportunities in the future to pull and turn around that game. So in the end, it seems like Powder was just able to play straightforward. He also did get relatively unlucky in some games despite having good scenarios and good fortune to pull out the series. Of course, the pilot shredders and the knife jugglers, the way they've been hitting. So I feel like you take the good with the bad. Overall, pretty straightforward play from Powder. And I guess the last question is to talk about, is he going to be able to continue to go through this? He has to go through Kroba and the winner of Firebat versus Dutch Boy.
I think he can definitely beat Kroba. I mean, the lineups for Powder are very strong versus what Kroba is playing, but I think the final will obviously be really hard as it's either a Dutch Boy or for Firebat. So, I don't know. I'm looking at Firebat as being the favorite now at the moment with those 4 players in the final 4 here.
I think one interesting thing about the Kroba Powder match will be mirrors. We got Rogue mirrors and we've got Freeze Mage mirrors. So understanding how those matchups work and how much practice they've had with those matchups will definitely play a role in how that game goes. But one thing Kroba has over Powder is Harrison Jones in his Rogue, so that could play a vital role in that. But I think the final is, on paper, is just definitely going to be Firebat Powder, unless the underdogs do come up and prove themselves this tournament.
I think to know that I suppose was the Powder played a big tournament in the UK and actually won in Game 7, Freeze Mage versus Freeze Mage final, a huge LAN event. So he may have more experience in the Freeze Mage mirror, which will be very interesting to see, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. Hold your horses. Don't put your bets just yet. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to start the semifinals here.